Farkas here, and county streets we have Troy Weedala, and then we'll go to City Forestry, Dennis Will. So, take it away, Corey.
Are you guys going to fire questions? Or are we just going to talk about last
Say and
night?
spell your full name, that's our first one.
Perfect. Corey Farkas, C-O-R-E-Y, F-A-R-K-A-S. I'm the City of Colorado Springs Public Works Operations and Maintenance Division Manager.
Perfect, thank you. How are the roads looking? How about that?
The roads down here are looking really nice. They're all dry. A little bit of a different story up north. We still have some work to do up north. Primaries are getting cleared off. We're working on secondaries, and we have put together a couple of small plow teams to get into some of the residentials that got some of the heavier snow last night to kind of help them out. At this point in time, and we figured this in the overnight hours, Mother Nature is helping us out at this point. She was hurting us last night, but helping out now. The snow's obviously stopped, and some of the sun that has come out is really activating all of the icers that have been on the road in the overnight hours, and things are clearing up and breaking nicely.
Can you talk to me about the planning last night? I know we had a lot of troubles over off of like Monument 925.
Absolutely, and I can speak for the city, and I'm sure the county and even CDOT had some of the same issues. We were looking. We had a partial call out that was hooked up yesterday evening. That was based upon the information that we gathered from all of our news sources. When we get prepared for a storm, we take all of the weather data that comes in, and we go ahead and approach the storm appropriately. A lot of the data that was coming in was calling for 0 to trace to an inch in the city, and possibly 0 to 3 mainly on the grass in the northern reaches of the city. So we were staffing appropriately off of that. By 7 o'clock last night, we had snow falling at a rate of 3 inches per hour in the northern reaches of the city. We cannot keep up on a full call out. Just for perspective, if we have snow falling at 1 inch per hour, we can't keep up with that. As soon as we plow a road, it will cover over immediately. We had a rate of up to 3 inches per hour last night. So there was a span last night where the roads absolutely got away from us. We had a full call out on the roads at that point in time. Still nothing we could do about it. Mother Nature was just winning. In the overnight hours around midnight, the snow stopped. We started gaining some ground, and then right around the 3 o'clock hour, the heavy snow started again. And we were battling that into rush hour this morning. But as you can see right now, the sun is out and helping us out at this point.
Can you walk me through that decision process where you had the initial call out, wasn't a full staff, and then all of a sudden you start watching it come back and like, oh, this is gonna be bad.
Absolutely. It doesn't help. We're here nearing the end of May. We de-winterized all of our trucks. We're getting into paving season. We've been paving, doing our potholing, our dig outs for the last several weeks. So a lot of our trucks, we had plows off, we had sanders off of all of that equipment, really making that change over into our summer season for maintenance. And a storm like this comes in, we had a partial call out that was hooked up. And when our supervisor on duty made the call to get a full call out hooked up, those folks had to come in. They had to hook up all of those trucks, get sanders on the backs, plows on the fronts, get materials loaded and get out onto the roadway. That takes a little bit of time to do. And then by about 7:30, we had a full call out on the roadways, and again, at 3 inches an hour, it still wouldn't have made a difference. So, we do the best we can with the information that we have. We've got a bunch of hardworking folks out there doing a great job in the overnight hours to get things opened up, and then now Mother Nature is really cooperating with us, and things are going in the right direction.
For our meteorologists, we always say it's kind of a rough science. There's never an exact answer, and you guys are relying on those kind of rough science answers to discern what's going to happen.
Absolutely.
Can you walk me through what it's like trying to respond to that? Because they expect you to be immediately ready to go.
Right. Yeah. And that's an expectation that's out there. Again, no pun intended. Perfect storm. Late May, we weren't expecting this. Our meteorologists were not calling for this. I don't think anybody expected this level of snow to come in, and yet it did. So we basically pull ourselves up by the bootstraps and do what needs to get done as quickly as we possibly can. Again, we had people come in, load up these trucks, get them prepared and get out on the road in record time last night, and just to go out and fight the snow. So really proud of our crews for doing the job that they did. That being said, of course, you know, again, Mother Nature was winning for a time last night, and you know, we appreciate all of our news outlets for letting people know to try to stay off the roads. That helps us out tremendously in conditions like that. So we really appreciate that. But I think the crews did a fantastic job.
Last thing for me was, what are we looking at in terms of the rest of the day? Obviously, we've got the sun helping us now too, but are we expecting to work through the rest of the day?
Yeah, we'll probably continue to work up north. We'll have some cleanup crews. A lot of it was now considered slushing operations. So as the snow continues to melt, we will have you know, another freeze warning tonight. We want to try to get everything off the road as far as slush goes, so that when temperatures drop later on this evening, we don't have another issue with ice later on. So. And then we'll probably have our snow patrol and a small crew monitoring the overnight hours to make sure if things do start to tighten up, if we have some water on the road that starts to freeze, we'll be able to treat that on a complaint basis.
Thank you.
When you start to see the snowfall getting out of control, and what's your guys' first priority?
Well, at that point in time, we were still on our priority ones, our primaries. So we continue to run those. We're going to continue to run our main arteries so that we can get, again, emergency vehicles where they need to go, and the vast majority of the population where they need to go. Until those are passable and safe, we won't move on to secondaries. But that's really our first priority, is to get our trucks onto the road and continue on those primaries.
Yes. Cool. Got it all?
Thank you.
Thanks.
Yeah, I think Corey said it all. We operate under the same type of conditions. So, Troy Wiedela, Troy Wiitala, Highway Manager for El Paso County Department of Public Works.
What was the first part? Corey?
Troy.
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 What's your assessment on how well everything responded with this storm last night?
Well, we worked a regular work day, so as like Corey probably, we had trucks ready to go. We did have all our plows and everything hooked up. We got off at 5, released everybody, put the crews on standby or a call out, and then about 7 o'clock the snow hit. So we started recalling everybody back in, and our trucks were already hooked up and ready to go, so we started from there. Worked about 30, we had about 30 trucks out throughout the evening. Left around midnight, and we brought another 30 trucks and operators in at 2 a.m. this morning and continued the operations. Mainly stayed on priority 1 roads also last night. And they've worked till about noon. We're doing a shift change at noon. I'm not sure what time it is, but we're gonna bring in 30 more trucks. We brought in 20 graders for the gravel roads this morning at 5 a.m. and they'll work until dark.
Cool.
And it's, you know, the Mother Nature is also helping us out a lot. We had anywhere from 1 inch down south in the Cimarron Hills and maybe a little further south to about 12 inches up on the county line. So we'll probably be working those into the evening with the second shift.
Are you guys seeing a lot of down trees?
We got a lot of branches on the streets in the Cimarron Hills area, and we've had a couple calls for black forest. And we're mainly working in the right-of-way and keeping the roads open so we can continue plowing and getting rid of those hazards from the right-of-way. I think in the days to come we'll be doing some more assessments and getting more calls in as far as the trees go. Just one comment about the gravel roads with all this wet snow and the amount that we've had. I anticipate they're going to be pretty sloppy and muddy in the next few days until we get some sunshine, warm up and dry them out a little bit.
Okay, you guys have your fill on roads. Should we switch to trees?
Yep. Thank you.
Good morning, I'm Dennis Wills, City Forester. for Parks and Rec, Colorado Springs, DENNISWILL. So springtime in the Rockies, right? Gives with one hand, takes with the other. The moisture was gratefully appreciated. The damage to our infrastructure, our tree infrastructure, was pretty amazing. I was out driving around for a couple hours this morning doing some inspections. It looks like a lot of the damage was east of Academy and north of Constitution. That's where we've got most of our crews deployed now. We had 4 arborists out last night until 5 a.m. this morning. For us, that was extremely, extremely rare because it's so dangerous to work in those slippery, snowy conditions in the dark with a chainsaw, so we try not to do that. But the conditions called for that, so those guys are at home right now sleeping it off, and so we have other crews out this morning. We gratefully appreciate the efforts from Public Works and Streets to help us out clear the roads. We have 4 brush trucks with City Fire that are also helping us, and we have 2 forestry crews out there. So it's quite an assemblage and different community entities coming together to attack this problem. Mostly what I saw was broken branches on silver maples, Siberian elms. That's quite prevalent across the community. Not as many large diameter trees that were blown down as in the last storm. There are some there, so of course our priority is going to be clearing the roadways for our first responders. Oftentimes that will be simply just moving the biomass out of the road, getting it up next to the right-of-ways, and then our crews will come back and clean it up later on. So that cleanup will literally take months. Everything that we had planned for this summer has gone out the window because of a 12-hour storm last night. Be that as it may, we'll do our best to attack the problem and work as hard as we can. So one of the things I wanted to talk about, I have 2 things I wanted to talk about. If citizens want to report a downed tree, I'd like to give you this website, coloradosprings.gov/down tree. When you go to that link, there will be an opportunity for the citizen to fill in the blanks, tell us what kind of problem there is, if it's a public or a private tree, and so forth. And so that's the easiest way for us to get information from the community, and it's an orderly way for our staff to figure out what the logistics are going to be to how we're going to approach the problem. The other thing is that, and I want to stress this, there's a safety issue here involved. Lots of homeowners have chainsaws. The problem is that the snow load created a very heavy tension wood and compression wood trees that are under a load. And so as soon as they cut that wood, that spring is released and can come back. And so that's a serious issue. If you're not a good arborist and if you don't know what you're doing with your homeline chainsaw, please leave it to the professionals, either city forestry crews or hire a private contractor. But the trees and the conditions that there are now are extremely dangerous and call for extreme caution.
Can you talk to me about how your office is doing right now? Are you guys running around with your hair on fire?
Yes. So we have 3 staff foresters in our office. They're mostly coordinating the information that's coming into us. We're still getting our first look at what's really out there. So we're getting a better picture of that by after lunchtime or so. But the crews that we have out now, they're responding mostly to requests from citizens that are already input to our asset management software called Cartograph. And that's how our crews are going through the process of finding the job sites, where the addresses are, and so forth. And so those are tracked as time goes on. The crews go to an address, they capture that address, they capture the work that was done and how long it took them to do that, and then we go on to the next one.
I was going to say, with the last program you talked about wind, this time we're talking about weight mostly,
Yeah,
right?
mostly weight.
Can you talk to me about the difference between those?
I'm sorry, I didn't hear
Can you
you.
talk to me about the difference between that kind of damage?
Well, typically with wind, the tree fails all together and just blows over and it lays on the ground. And so the hazard is not as compressed, if you will. But with broken branch, or with branches that are under a snow load, where the snow hasn't melted off or fallen off, that weight it's like a trebuchet. If you know what that is, that's a machinery that's spring loaded. And as soon as you cut some of the fibers in a trunk or a branch that's spring loaded, that weight will release and that branch will spring back. And so that's the difference. Most of the The fallen stuff's on the ground, the spring-loaded stuff is much more dangerous.
You're making mouse traps out there.
Absolutely, absolutely.
Last thing for me was when you talked about your summer plans are dashed. This is pretty much, was it a combination of all the damages we've had through all these storms, or just last night was that deadly?
Just last night. We were in pretty good shape from the last storm, which was, what, 2 months ago? And so now we're just kind of starting over, all over again. So the good news is that through the support of the city council and the city mayor, city forestry is going to acquire quite a bit of new equipment and 3 new personnel. So we're creating a new crew, which will be, for the better part of the summer, be our runaround crew, picking up stuff that we had missed during the more formal cleanup process. So we're very excited about having that extra crew on board.
Dennis, I know Garden of the Gods was closed this morning because you couldn't get in there.
Yeah.
I mean, is that just sort of a measurement, a yardstick of just how many tree branches we have all over the place?
You know, I haven't had a chance to even look at the west side. Talked to the staff foresters this morning. They said that they hadn't heard that much from the west side, and so I would imagine that that closure was more towards snow than anything else. That's just conjecture on my part.
Cemeteries, I know we were running that on the little crawl and normally you do school closures, but
Yeah.
we're getting towards the end of the school year, we had cemetery closures,
Yeah.
but that's because of the
Well,
branches.
Evergreen Cemetery is just packed with trees. Some of them haven't been pruned in a while. They need a little bit of work, so unfortunately, nature has done that work for us in kind of a sloppy way. We'll do our best as we can to get to it.
In terms of tree damage with the big storms in March and then in April, is this the kind of damage amount that you would expect from a storm like this, or how does it compare to those of past?
This storm has more biomass on the ground than the last storm, the windstorm we had in March. So we'll literally be out there picking stuff up for months. Unfortunately, even a small branch has got to be picked up, and so back then it was rather easy. We have log trucks, you could pick up literally an entire tree, throw it in the back of the truck and haul it off. But with broken branches, trees that are ripped apart at the leads, even the small branches have to be picked up, and that's tedious because that's more handwork than machinery work. So it'll take quite a bit longer to clean all this up.
That's all I had.
Thank you.
Thank you
Thank
very
you.
much.
I appreciate the opportunity.